Diplomatic Action Plan and Awareness Brief, Reclaiming Ethiopia's Maritime Rights Without War. The time has come for a diplomatic revolution, one that is intellectually precise, morally defensible, and geopolitically agile. Ethiopia, though bruised by decades of internal strife and regional betrayal, must not be dragged into another devastating war under the guise of historical correction. The issue of maritime access is not a battlefield matter. It is a matter of legal rectification, international discourse, and strategic diplomacy. Let this be clear. The task of restoring Ethiopia's rightful place in the Horn of Africa is not the burden of confused politicians or opportunistic regimes. It is the responsibility of a new generation of thinkers, diplomats, jurists, and Pan-Africanists. 1. The weakness of the current Ethiopian diplomatic machinery. Ethiopia's diplomatic corps, as it stands today, is a shell of what it should be, lacking both the intellectual sophistication and moral gravitas required to navigate complex international legal frameworks. It is led by political appointees rather than seasoned negotiators or visionary statesmen. The current Prime Minister, under pressure from collapsing internal legitimacy and fractured social cohesion, seeks not resolution but destruction. His filtration with maritime rhetoric is a diversion, a shallow maneuver aimed at diverting public attention from the flames consuming the Ethiopian state. Let's say it without apology. A leader who cannot unite his own house has no mandate to redraw maps or initiate maritime entanglements. To wage war with Eritrea now would be a betrayal of the Ethiopian people and a tragic miscalculation in the eye of history. 2. The Eritrean dilemma: independent but not innocent. Eritrea, too, must be called out firmly and diplomatically. Having secured its independence through a referendum that sidelined Ethiopians, it must now behave with the maturity of an independent state. That means halting all covert proxy entanglements with Egypt, Gulf states, or any other regional actors exploiting the Ethiopian crisis for their own agendas. Eritreans' silent collusion with destabilizers, making it a willing conduit of neocolonial fragmentation in the Horn of Africa. If Eritrea truly wishes to remain sovereign, it must stop interfering in Ethiopia's internal dynamics and respect the principle of non-intervention. Otherwise, history may revisit its independence with a different verdict. 3. This is not the time to raise the maritime question through militarism. While Ethiopia's historical and legal rights to the sea remain unquestionable, this is not the moment to press the matter through force. Ethiopia must first rebuild its internal cohesion, restore legitimacy to its institutions, and empower its people through economic development, justice, and reconciliation. The obsession with reclaiming the sea without first reclaiming the soul of Ethiopia is a hollow crusade. No nation, however righteous its cause, can succeed diplomatically while divided internally and represented by weak minds. 4. A new generation of strategic diplomacy. What Ethiopia needs is a new cadre of diplomats, lawyers, historians, and public intellectuals who can build a long-term, internationally defensible case for maritime access. This cadre must act with surgical precision in international forums, regional blocs, legal tribunals, and media platforms to build global sympathy, legal clarity, and strategic alliances. These diplomatic offensive should be guided by the following pillars: international legal engagement. Prepare a white paper to be submitted to the African Union, United Nations, and non-alignment movement outlining Ethiopia's legal right to maritime access under international law, UNCLOS. Vienna Program, Almaty Framework, etc. Bilateral economic diplomacy. Seek long-term port agreements with Eritrea and Djibouti rooted in mutual economic benefit, not neo-imperial threats. Global awareness campaign. Launch a media initiative titled Ethiopia, a nation landlocked by silence, exposing the flawed narratives and rallying global legal and academic communities. Regional Stabilization Doctrine. Propose a Horn of Africa Maritime Integration Pact, creating a shared economic zone that allows Ethiopia maritime access without threatening any country's sovereignty. 5. Provocative statements to drive diplomatic impact. To drive home the urgency and moral weight of the issue, the following rhetorical anchors should be used boldly in diplomatic arenas. Ready? A nation of 120 million cannot be sentenced to eternal landless by a referendum that excludes its voice. There can be no peace in the Horn of maritime rights are held hostage by old errors and new proxies. True independence for Eritrea begins when it stops being a pawn in foreign destabilization. A nation divided internally cannot reclaim the sea. It must first reclaim its dignity, cohesion, and moral compass. History will not forgive a prime minister who chooses war over wisdom, destruction over diplomacy, and spectacle over statecraft. Number 6. A way forward without war. Ethiopia must not repeat the sins of short-sighted leaders. The future must be built with diplomacy, not gunfire. The priority now is stability, healing, and empowerment within Ethiopia. Once that foundation is solidified, then the maritime question can be re-engaged at the highest levels of international legality, regional consensus, and economic cooperation. Let this be the guiding principle. We will not wage war to touch the sea. We will build a stronger Ethiopia so the sea comes to us by law, by right, and by recognition. Thank you.